At 93, I walked down the aisle again, but my family didn't approve. At 93, you'd think I'd be past surprises. Most of my days feel the same. Tea at 6, radio humming in the background, and Claire calling to remind me to rest and take my pills. But that morning, when the postman dropped the letters through the slot, I saw one envelope that didn't look like the others. The handwriting was neat, careful, and heartbreakingly familiar. My hands trembled as I turned it over, reading the words to my Maggie. No one had called me that in over 70 years. For a moment, I just stared at it, afraid that if I opened it, it would vanish like a dream. My heart beat so fast I thought it might burst. I sat down by the window and slowly tore the flap open. Inside was a single page, yellowed around the edges, but written in the same looping script that used to make me blush when I was 17. "If this finds you, Maggie," it began, "know that I've never stopped thinking about you." The signature at the bottom made me gasp. Daniel. I pressed the letter against my chest, half laughing, half crying. Daniel was my first love, the boy with brown eyes and a stubborn smile who promised me the world. We were supposed to get married before my father stepped in and decided he wasn't good enough. He sent Daniel away, and I was pushed into marrying Harold instead. Harold was a good man, steady and kind, but my heart never fully stopped aching for what might have been. After he died, I tried to tell myself that part of me was gone forever. Yet here it was, alive again, written in ink that smelled faintly of old paper and time. I folded the letter carefully and slipped it into my nightstand drawer before Claire came over. She had a habit of moving things around, claiming she was helping. When she arrived later that morning, she did her usual inspection, dusting, fussing, asking if I'd eaten. I nodded politely, pretending to listen, but all I could think about was Daniel's words. After she left, I went back to the drawer and read the letter again, tracing every line like a map back to my youth. I could almost hear his laughter echoing through the orchard where we used to meet, smell the river breeze from those summer afternoons. A few days later, another letter arrived. This time, I didn't hesitate. It started with, "Do you still remember the swing by the old oak tree?" I smiled so hard my cheeks hurt. Of course I remembered. That swing was where he'd carved our initials, M+D, and swore we'd come back one day as husband and wife. The letter ended with, "I hope this brings you a bit of warmth. Yours forever, Daniel." I sat there whispering his name like a prayer. The house felt less empty for the first time in years. More letters followed, each one full of memories so precise that I knew it couldn't be a trick. He mentioned the rainstorm we got caught in, the way my father's pipe smoke always made me sneeze, even the small scar on my wrist from when we tried to build that wooden boat and failed miserably. Whoever was writing knew my life the way only Daniel could. I started to look forward to the mail every morning like a child waiting for Christmas. It became my secret. I would pour a cup of tea, settle into the armchair, and let his words carry me somewhere else, somewhere young, somewhere hopeful. One evening, I took out an old photo album from the cabinet. There he was on the last page, barely 20, in a white shirt rolled at the sleeves, standing beside the river. I hadn't looked at that picture in decades. Seeing it again made my throat tighten. I whispered to the photo, "Where have you been all this time, Daniel?" Maybe talking to a photograph sounds mad, but at my age, you stop caring about what sounds sane. When the 6th letter came, I noticed my niece, Lily, watching me closely. She's a kind girl in her 20s, always cheerful, always humming. "Mrs. Margaret," she said with a teasing smile, "you've been glowing lately. Is there a secret admirer I should know about?" I laughed, pretending to brush it off, but she didn't let it go. That evening, I finally told her. She listened quietly, her eyes wide, and when I finished, she said, "If he's real, you have to see him again." I shook my head, saying, "I'm 93, dear. I can barely make it down the steps." She grinned, "Then I'll help you." Her excitement was contagious. The next letter came a week later, shorter than the rest. If you still remember me, Maggie, it said. Meet me by the river, Sunday at sunset. My hands went cold. That river, the same one from the photo, was only a few miles away. Could it really be him after all this time? My mind raced through every possibility. Maybe it was a hoax. Maybe someone was playing a cruel joke. But then again, why would anyone bother? My heart said it was him. And after all these years, I decided my heart had earned the right to be believed. That Sunday, I sat by the window, staring at the clock. 5:30. The sun was already dipping low. Lily came in, holding my coat. "Are we going?" she asked softly. I hesitated, clutching my cane. "What if he doesn't show up?" She smiled gently. "Then at least you'll know you tried." As she helped me down the steps, I felt nervous and foolish, like a teenager sneaking out. The evening air was cool against my skin, and the world seemed to glow in shades of gold. We reached the riverbank just as the sun began to set. My heart pounded so loudly I thought I'd faint. Then I saw him, an old man sitting on the same bench we used to share, leaning on his cane, wearing a flat cap. He turned, and even though time had changed him, his face lined, his hair silver, I knew. It was Daniel. I froze, gripping my cane to keep from falling. He stood slowly, eyes widening. "Maggie," he whispered. That voice, cracked with age but filled with warmth, hit me like a wave. "Daniel," I breathed. The world seemed to disappear. The river, the breeze, even Lily standing behind us. All that existed was him. We reached for each other, our wrinkled hands trembling as they met. His touch felt familiar, like home. We sat together for hours, talking until the stars came out. He told me about his life, how he'd moved north, married, lost his wife 10 years ago, and found my old photograph while cleaning his attic. "I didn't know if you were still alive," he said, eyes shining, "but I had to try." I laughed softly. "Barely, Daniel, but alive enough." We talked about everything and nothing, about the past, the choices, the regrets. And when he smiled, I saw the same boy I'd loved all those years ago. As the night deepened, he said quietly, "Maggie, will you let me love you properly this time?" I couldn't speak. Tears filled my eyes, spilling down my cheeks before I could stop them. I squeezed his hand instead, my answer clear without words. After 70 years of waiting, I had finally found him again. And for the first time in a very long time, the next morning, I woke up before sunrise, my heart still fluttering like a schoolgirl's. For a while, I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, replaying last night in my head. His voice, his smile, the way he held my hand, it didn't feel like 70 years had passed. It felt like we had simply paused time and pressed play again. When Lily came in with my breakfast tray, she found me humming. "Someone's in a good mood," she said with a grin. I smiled and pretended to be calm, but my heart was still racing. "He was there," I whispered. Her eyes widened. "You saw him? It's really him." I nodded slowly. Older, thinner, but still him. Still Daniel. She squealed quietly, then composed herself. "So, what happens now?" I didn't have an answer. Part of me feared that last night had been a dream. But before noon, the postman arrived again, and when I saw Daniel's neat handwriting, I knew it was real. The letter was short, trembling in ink like his hands must have been. "My Maggie," it read, "seeing you again has healed something in me that I thought was gone forever. I'm sitting here smiling like a fool. Could we meet again this Sunday? The same river, same time." I pressed the letter to my lips and whispered, "Yes." When you reach 9 to 3, people assume your heart is tired, that you stop craving connection. But sitting there reading his words, I felt more alive than I had in years. I couldn't stop smiling. Every Sunday became ours. Lily helped me get ready, choosing my softest shawl, brushing my thin silver hair, and teasing, "You're glowing, Mrs. Margaret. If you keep this up, you'll need a wedding dress soon." I laughed, but secretly, the thought didn't seem impossible anymore. Each week, Daniel and I sat by the river, talking about everything we'd missed. He told me about the years after he left town, how he joined the rail company, met his wife, and raised 2 children. He showed me a faded photograph of a woman with kind eyes. "She was good to me," he said quietly, "but I always carried you in here." He tapped his chest. I looked down at my hands and said, "I tried to forget you, Daniel. I really did. But every time it rained, I remembered that day under the tree." He laughed softly, and his eyes glistened. Sometimes we didn't even talk. We just sat in silence, watching the water ripple and the sun dance on it. I noticed how frail he'd become, his hands trembling slightly as he lifted his thermos. But when he smiled, it was like seeing the boy he used to be. One afternoon, he brought a small wooden box wrapped in cloth. "I've kept this since we were young," he said. Inside was a tiny silver ring, tarnished but still shining faintly. "I bought it for you before your father sent me away," he said. My eyes filled with tears as he placed it in my palm. I was saving it for a day that never came. My fingers shook as I traced its edges. "Maybe that day is now," I whispered. He smiled and nodded. Back home, I couldn't stop thinking about him. The letters, the meetings, the quiet way he said my name. It all felt like a second chance that life had finally allowed. Lily noticed my energy returning. I walked more, smiled more, even started baking again. "Here's your miracle," she said one afternoon. And maybe he was, but not everyone thought so. One evening, while I was reading one of his letters, I heard Claire's voice from the doorway. "Mom, what are you hiding?" I jumped. She'd arrived unannounced, as usual. I tried to fold the paper discreetly, but she'd already seen it. "Is that another letter?" "From who?" she asked, stepping closer. "Just an old friend," I said quickly, but her eyes narrowed. "You've been acting strange lately," she said, crossing her arms. "Laughing alone, sneaking out. Is someone taking advantage of you?" I forced a calm smile. "Claire, dear, not everything needs your supervision." She sighed and started picking up the letters on the table. "Daniel," she read aloud. Her tone shifted from confusion to disbelief. "Mom, is this some kind of joke? You can't be serious." I reached for the letters, but she held them away like a child guarding candy. "You're 93. You can't go running around chasing ghosts." Her words stung. I took a deep breath. "He's not a ghost. He's real. He's alive." She shook her head. "And what does he want from you? Money? Your house?" That broke something in me. "Not everyone wants something," I said sharply. "Some people just want time." She blinked, startled. "You're being reckless," she said. "I'm not letting you get hurt." I looked her in the eye and said quietly, "Claire, you've never asked me what makes me happy. For once, I want to choose that myself." She stood there in silence, holding the letters like they were evidence of a crime. Then she dropped them on the table and left without another word. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about how strange it was to need permission to love at my age. I thought of how, as a girl, I was told who to marry, and now, as an old woman, I was being told who not to. I whispered into the dark, "Will they ever let me be free?" The following Sunday, I told Daniel what happened. He sighed heavily. "She's only worried," he said gently. "I can understand that." I shook my head. "No, Daniel. She's worried about control. My happiness doesn't fit into her plans." He reached for my hand and smiled softly. "Then let's make our own plan." His thumb brushed over my knuckles. "What if we stop hiding? What if we give them something to talk about?" I frowned, not catching his meaning. He chuckled. "Maggie, I'm asking if you'll let me love you properly this time. Not in secret, not in letters, openly. Will you marry me?" For a moment, I couldn't breathe. The world around me blurred. I looked at him, at the wrinkles, the shaky hands, the kind eyes still full of warmth, and I realized this might be my last chance to say yes to love. My lips trembled, but I smiled. Yes, Daniel, I'll marry you. He laughed, that same carefree laugh from decades ago, and pulled me gently into his arms. For a long time, we just sat there, holding each other, two old hearts beating in rhythm. When Lily came to pick me up later, she noticed the glow on my face. "Something happened," she said, grinning. I nodded. He asked me to marry him. She clapped her hands. "Oh, Mrs. Margaret, that's the sweetest thing I've ever heard." Then her smile faded slightly. "What about your family?" I sighed. "They won't understand, but I'm not doing this for them." She nodded slowly. "Then I'll help you, whatever you need." As I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling again, I thought about how life can circle back in the strangest ways. At 17, I'd lost my chance to love Daniel because my family said no. Now, at 93, I'd found him again, and once more, they'd tried to stop me. But this time, I wouldn't let them. I reached into my nightstand and took out the ring he'd given me from the box. I slipped it on my finger. It fit perfectly, as if it had been waiting all these years. I smiled to myself and whispered into the dark, "This time, Daniel, they won't take you away from me." When I told my family about Daniel's proposal, I honestly thought they'd be happy for me. I thought maybe, for once, they would see me not as an old woman waiting for her time, but as someone who still had a heartbeat, who still wanted to live. But I was wrong. The minute the words left my mouth, silence filled the room like smoke. Claire froze, the cup of tea in her hand shaking slightly before she set it down too hard. Robert, my eldest, laughed awkwardly. "You can't be serious, Mom," he said, his voice low but sharp. "You're 93. His what? 90. I folded my hands, steadying my voice. 8 or 9. Robert scoffed. "Even Weiss." I tried to smile gently. "It's not about age. It's about..." But Claire interrupted me. "About what, Mom? Romance? You're too old for this." That stung more than I expected. Too old for love. Too old for joy. Too old for choice. I took a deep breath. "I'm not too old to feel," I said quietly. "And I'm not too old to know what I want." They exchanged looks, the kind that children share when they think the parent is losing it. Robert leaned forward. "This man, Daniel, what does he want from you? Because it's obvious what he'll get. Your house, your savings, whatever's left of the inheritance." I looked at him, hurt and angry all at once. "You think love is only about money?" He shrugged. "At your age, yes. People take advantage." Claire reached for my hand like I was a patient who needed calming. "Mom, please, you're lonely. I get it. But marrying someone now, it's reckless. You could get hurt, or worse, embarrassed." I pulled my hand away. "Embarrassed? For loving someone?" My voice shook, but not from weakness, from fury. "I've spent my entire life doing what was proper. I married the man your grandfather chose for me, raised 2 children, buried a husband, kept quiet, kept kind, and kept waiting. If I want to spend whatever time I have left feeling alive again, why should that embarrass you?" Claire looked down. Robert stood, pacing. "This isn't just about you, Mom," he said. "It's about protecting you, and your legacy." I almost laughed. My legacy is love, Robert. And right now, that love is Daniel." He turned away, muttering, "This is madness." I watched them both, realizing that they were no longer listening. Not really. They'd made up their minds. They thought I was being foolish, manipulated, naive, but they were wrong. For the first time in decades, I was thinking clearly. That night, Claire called again. Her voice was softer this time. "Mom, we just want what's best for you." I sighed. "Then let me be happy." She hesitated. "You're not thinking straight." I'm thinking straighter than ever, I said. Daniel and I are getting married at St. Matthew's next month. She gasped. You already picked a date? Yes. Mom, you can't do this, she said, her voice rising. If you go through with it, don't expect us there. There was silence on my end, just the ticking of the clock. Finally, I said, then I'll walk down the aisle alone if I have to. She hung up without saying goodbye. After that, the house felt heavier. Robert sent me emails full of legal jargon, warning me about predatory relationships and elder exploitation. Emily, my granddaughter, texted me a meme of an old couple with heart emojis, followed by, "This is cute, Grandma, but are you sure you're not being scammed?" I deleted it without replying. It hurt, knowing that they saw me as fragile, incapable of making choices. They didn't see the woman who raised them, the one who paid bills, buried her dead, and carried entire generations on her back. They just saw the wrinkles. When I told Daniel about their reaction, he looked down, eyes clouded. "Maybe we shouldn't, Maggie," he said softly. "I don't want to come between you and your children." I grabbed his hand. "You're not. They've built walls around me for years. You're just showing me the door." He smiled sadly. "You've always been braver than me." I chuckled. "You left, remember?" He sighed, and I regretted it every day since. His thumb rubbed against my palm gently. "If you're sure, then I'm yours, Maggie, for however long we've got left." The weeks leading up to the wedding were a blow of quiet joy. Lily helped me pick a lavender dress, something soft, simple, elegant. "White is too much," I told her. "At my age, I don't need to pretend purity." She laughed. "You're pure enough, Mrs. Margaret. Your heart's still young." I smiled at her reflection in the mirror. Maybe that's what they can't stand, that I'm not done living yet. Every evening, Daniel and I met by the river to plan small details. It wasn't going to be a grand wedding. Just us, a priest, a few close friends, and the sound of water behind us. He wanted to use the same ring he'd bought decades ago. "I kept it all this time," he said, placing it on my finger again. "I guess I always knew." The fit was perfect. It felt like destiny finally caught up after all its detours. A week before the ceremony, Claire came over unannounced again. She stood in the doorway, her expression cold. "Mom, I've spoken to your lawyer," she said. "We can have your accounts protected before this marriage goes through. We're not letting some man take advantage of you." I stared at her, stunned. "You spoke to my lawyer without asking me?" She shrugged, defensive. "We're just trying to make sure he doesn't get anything if, when things go wrong." My voice trembled as I said, "You're treating me like a child." "You're acting like one," she snapped. The words hung in the air, sharp and cruel. I turned away, tears burning my eyes. "Get out, Claire," I whispered. "Mom, get out." She hesitated, then sighed and left, the door clicking shut behind her. I stood there, staring at the empty hallway, realizing that for the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of losing them, because I'd already lost their respect. That night, Daniel called. "How are you holding up, my love?" I smiled faintly. "I've had better days." He chuckled. "I'm sorry, Maggie. I didn't mean to bring you more trouble." "You didn't," I said. "You brought me peace. They just can't understand that peace doesn't always look like safety." He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "You know, I keep thinking about our youth, about how your father said I wasn't good enough." I laughed softly. He was wrong then, and they are wrong now. The day before the wedding, Robert sent me one last message. "Mom, we won't come, but we hope you come to your senses before it's too late." I read it twice, then deleted it. I didn't reply. For once, I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. That night, as the wind rustled through the trees outside, I stood by the mirror, brushing my hair slowly. My reflection stared back. Frail, yes, but not broken. My hands were wrinkled, my back bent, but my heart felt young again. I touched the ring on my finger and smiled. They may not approve, Daniel, I whispered to the empty room, but they'll see. They'll see what love looks like when it finally gets its turn. And with that, I turned off the light, my heart steady and sure. Tomorrow, I would walk down that aisle, whether anyone stood beside me or not. The morning of the wedding came quietly, the kind of morning where the air feels like it's holding its breath. I woke up before dawn, long before Lily arrived. The house was still, and for a moment, I thought about all the times I had prepared for other people's big days. Claire's wedding, Robert's graduation, even my granddaughter's baby shower. I'd always been the one sitting in the background, smiling politely, clapping when expected. But today was mine. My day. At 9 to 3, I was about to walk down an aisle not as someone's mother or widow or grandmother, but as a woman in love. When Lily came in, she found me sitting by the window, staring at the pale light creeping across the floor. "You didn't sleep, did you?" she asked softly. I smiled. Sleep would have wasted time I could spend feeling alive. She laughed, shaking her head. "Well, at least you'll be the most radiant bride this town has ever seen." She helped me dress, carefully, with a gentleness that made me emotional. The lavender gown we'd chosen hung perfectly, soft and flowing, with delicate lace around the sleeves. "It's simple, but elegant," Lily said, stepping back to admire it. I looked at my reflection in the mirror, thin silver hair pinned neatly, a faint pink blush on my cheeks, and that little ring Daniel had kept all these years glinting on my finger. My hands trembled slightly, but not from fear. It was excitement, something I hadn't felt since I was a girl. "Do I look ridiculous?" I asked. Lily smiled. "You look like someone who finally got her tame." Outside, the sky was gray, thick with clouds that looked ready to burst, but somehow it made everything feel sacred, like the heavens were watching. Daniel had insisted on the ceremony being small, just the priest who'd known him since boyhood, Lily, and a few kind neighbors who had supported us quietly. We didn't need anyone else. Love doesn't need a crowd to be real. When the car arrived, Lily helped me into the back seat, holding my hand as we drove. I stared out the window, watching the trees blur by, my heart thudding in my chest. "Do you think they'll come?" I asked quietly. Lily hesitated. "Your children?" I nodded. "No," she said gently, "but maybe one day they'll understand why you had to." I smiled faintly. "Maybe, or maybe not, but at least I'll understand." When we reached the church, I almost cried. St. Matthew's hadn't changed much since I was 17. The same white steeple, the same wooden doors, even the same oak tree by the gate where Daniel and I had carved our initials. My breath caught as I saw him waiting near the entrance. He stood tall despite his cane, wearing a dark suit that fit him a little loosely, but his smile, oh, that smile, was the same. "Maggie," he said softly as I stepped out of the car. His eyes filled with tears. "You came." I chuckled. "You asked me to, didn't you?" He reached for my hand, and the warmth of it steadied me. "You look beautiful," he whispered. "And you look nervous," I teased. He grinned, terrified, but mostly lucky. Inside, the small church smelled faintly of flowers and old wood. The priest smiled when he saw us. "It's been a long time since I've married two souls this sure of themselves," he said kindly. Daniel helped me walk down the aisle, his arm trembling slightly against mine. Every step felt heavy and light all at once. Heavy with memory, light with freedom. I could almost hear my father's voice echoing from decades ago, saying no, forbidding what he never understood. And now, here I was, proving that love always finds a way, even if it takes a lifetime. When we reached the altar, Daniel and I turned to face each other, my vision blurred with tears. His eyes glistened too. The priest began to speak, his voice calm and steady. "Today we gathered to celebrate love, Love that endures time, loss, and distance. I felt my throat tighten. I could hear Lily sniffing quietly behind us. As the priest spoke about vows and eternity, I realized how strange and beautiful it was to be promising forever when forever could mean days or months. But that didn't matter. Forever isn't measured in years. It's measured in moments. Then it was time for our vows. Daniel took my hands in his. His voice trembled as he said, "Maggie, when I left all those years ago, I thought I'd lost you forever. I built a life, but it always felt unfinished, like a song missing its last verse. Today, I get to finish that song with you." Tears rolled down my cheeks. When it was my turn, I took a deep breath. "Daniel, I thought love was something that happened once in youth and then fades into memory. But you've shown me it can wait, quietly, until we're brave enough to find it again. I'm proud to love you, even at 9-3. The priest smiled warmly. "You may exchange rings." Daniel slid the little silver ring onto my finger. It fit perfectly, as if no time had passed. Then came the words I'd waited a lifetime to hear. "I now pronounce you husband and wife." Just as he said it, a bright beam of sunlight broke through the gray clouds and streamed through the stained glass windows, casting colors across the floor. Everyone gasped softly. It felt like a sign, like the heavens themselves were giving us their blessing. We turned to face the small gathering, holding hands tightly, hearts steady. The priest smiled. "You may kiss the bride." Daniel leaned forward, his lips brushing mine softly, tenderly, and for a moment, the years melted away. I felt 17 again, barefoot by the river, full of hope. Lily clapped softly, wiping her tears. "You did it, Mrs. Margaret," she whispered. I laughed, shaky and breathless. "No, my day. We did it." But just as the laughter settled, the heavy church doors creaked open. I turned, and my breath caught. Standing there, framed in the doorway, were Claire and Robert. Their faces were pale, eyes wide, disbelief and anger flickering between them. "Mom," Claire said sharply, her voice echoing through the church. "Stop this." The room fell silent. Even the priest froze. I could feel Daniel tense beside me. Robert stepped forward. "This is madness. You can't do this." For a second, I wanted to shrink, to apologize, to make them understand. But then I saw Daniel's eyes, tired, kind, pleading, and something in me rose instead. I straightened my back, turned to face them, and said softly but firmly, "I already have." Claire shook her head. "You're ruining everything." "No," I said. "For the first time, I'm saving something, myself." My voice echoed louder than I expected. Robert clenched his jaw, speechless. The priest cleared his throat gently. "Perhaps this isn't the time. It's the perfect time," I interrupted, "because they need to hear it." I looked at my children, the same faces I'd once cradled, fed, and protected, and I realized how strange it was that they had become the ones trying to protect me from happiness. "All my life," I said, my voice trembling, "I've done what everyone expected. I obeyed my father. I buried my dreams. I wore my wedding ring like armor. But I've learned that love doesn't ask for permission. It simply waits for courage." I turned to Daniel and squeezed his hand, and I finally found mine. Claire's eyes filled with tears. Robert looked away. I knew they wouldn't understand, not today, but one day, maybe they would. I turned back to the priest and nodded. "Please continue." The ceremony resumed quietly, though my heart still thundered. And when it was over, as Daniel and I walked hand in hand down that aisle, the light streaming through the windows wrapped around us like a blessing. Outside, as we stood under the oak tree, a few raindrops began to fall, soft and cool against my skin. I looked up, smiling. "It's raining again," I whispered. Daniel chuckled, tightening his grip on my hand, just like before. I laughed through my tears. "Maybe love likes to test if we'll stand in the rain again." He smiled. "And will we?" I leaned my head against his shoulder. Always. The weeks after the wedding felt like borrowed heaven. Daniel and I settled into a quiet rhythm that made every morning feel like a miracle. We didn't move houses or make big plans. We simply lived, side by side, like two souls who had finally found rest after a long journey. Every morning, he'd make tea, humming the same tune he used to whistle when we were young, and I'd sit by the window watching the light pour into the room, thinking about how lucky I was that love had found me again after all those years. Sometimes we'd talk for hours about the past. Sometimes we just sat holding hands in silence, letting time slip by unnoticed. He'd often look at me and say, "You know, Maggie, if I'd known we'd end up here, I would have fought harder for you." I'd smile and answer, "You fought enough. The world just wasn't ready for us yet." Lily visited often, usually bringing soup or pastries and teasing us both. "You two are the most adorable newlyweds I've ever met," she'd say, grinning. Daniel would laugh and reply, "Don't tell her that, or she'll start demanding breakfast in bed." I'd roll my eyes. At 9 to 3, I've earned it. Those small moments became everything. I'd catch myself memorizing his face again. The lines, the way his hands shook slightly when he poured tea, the soft sigh he made before falling asleep in the armchair. We didn't talk about the future. We both knew the future wasn't something we could stretch too far. But every day felt full, like the world had finally repaid us for all the time we lost. Claire and Robert didn't visit. For a while, I hoped they would, but the silence became its own kind of peace. One afternoon, I received a letter, ironic, considering how this whole story began. It was from Claire. Her handwriting was firm, like she wanted to sound strong but couldn't quite manage it. "Mom," it began, "I don't understand your decision, but I hope he's treating you kindly. I'm still angry, but I love you. Be careful." I smiled, tracing the words with my fingers. That was as close to forgiveness as she could manage then, and I accepted it. Daniel's health began to decline as the days grew colder. At first, it was little things. He'd forget where he placed his glasses, tire easily after short walks, or nap in his chair for hours. When I asked if he was all right, he'd wave me off. "Just old bones complaining," he'd say. But one evening, as we sat by the fireplace, he reached for my hand, his fingers trembling more than usual. "Maggie," he said softly, "if one of us has to go first, I want it to be me. I couldn't bear to lose you again." I squeezed his hand tightly. "Don't talk like that. We'll go together." He smiled weakly. "That would be nice." His voice was calm, but his eyes told me he already knew. A few weeks later, I woke up to the sound of the clock ticking louder than usual. The house was too quiet. Daniel was in his chair, the morning light on his face, looking as peaceful as if he'd just drifted into a nap. I called his name softly, then louder. "Daniel." But he didn't move. The cup of tea he'd made for me sat untouched on the table beside him. My knees gave out, and I sank beside him, holding his hand. It was still warm. "Oh, Daniel," I whispered, tears spilling down my face. "You promised we'd have forever." I don't know how long I sat there before Lily arrived. She didn't say a word. She just wrapped her arms around me as I sobbed, the sound breaking from somewhere deep inside me, a cry I'd held in for a lifetime. The funeral was small, just like the wedding. A few neighbors, the priest, and me. The priest spoke of eternal love and peaceful rest, and I listened with tears streaming down my cheeks, clutching Daniel's ring in my palm. After the service, I noticed a folded piece of paper inside his Bible, placed right where I'd often seen him read before bed. It had my name written in shaky handwriting. "For my Maggie, should I leave first?" I took it home, sat by the same window where we'd shared so many mornings, and unfolded it with trembling hands. His letter was short, but every word felt carved into my heart. "My dearest Maggie," it began, "if you're reading this, I'm gone. Don't be sad for too long. You gave me back something I thought was lost forever. Hope. You taught me that love doesn't belong to youth. It belongs to anyone brave enough to feel it. Thank you for walking beside me, even when the world said we shouldn't. You made an old man believe in miracles again. And when the wind brushes your cheek, think of me there, smiling, still holding your hand. I couldn't finish reading it out loud. I pressed the paper to my chest and cried until the sun went down. The days after felt heavy, slow. The house that once felt warm now seemed too big, too quiet. But his words stayed with me, carrying me through. One afternoon, there was a soft knock on the door. When I opened it, I saw Claire standing there, her eyes red. "Mom," she said quietly, "I heard about Daniel." I nodded, my throat too tight to speak. She hesitated, then stepped forward and hugged me. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't understand. I thought he was taking you away from us, but now I see. He gave you back to yourself." I smiled faintly, tears filling my eyes again. "He did," I said, "and I'll be forever grateful for that." Claire stayed for tea that day. We didn't talk much about the past, just sat quietly, sipping, letting forgiveness hang between us like sunlight. Before she left, she took my hand and said, "Mom, I hope I'm that brave when I'm your age." I smiled, "Then start practicing now. Life's too short to wait for permission." She laughed softly, nodding. That night, as the sky turned orange and pink, I sat by the window with Daniel's letter in my lap. The garden outside shimmered with evening dew, and a soft breeze came through the open window, brushing my cheek gently. I closed my eyes and whispered, "I know that's you." Then I picked up a pen and a fresh sheet of paper. "My love," I began. I walked down the aisle again, not to defy them, but to find you. You were worth every year of waiting, every tear, every argument, every quiet morning that led to you. I will see you again, by the river, where the water never stops flowing. When I finished, I folded the letter and placed it beside his in the Bible. Then I sat back in my chair, smiling through my tears. I didn't feel lonely. I didn't feel afraid. I just felt full of love, of memory, of peace. Outside, the rain began to fall softly, just like it had on our wedding day. And as I closed my eyes, I whispered one last time, "Until the next rain, Daniel."